Lately, there's been a lot of discussion about how gaming is going towards the direction of an all-digital platform. In this video, I want to cover why the physical media will always be better and outweigh digital media. First reason is you actually own a physical copy of the game. What I mean by that is legally, you physically purchase the item. What this means is you have full control over the actual item that you own. If you wanted to make an actual ROM or backup copy of the actual game for your own personal use, it is totally 100% legal. Now, distribution of the actual copy that you have is a little bit different, but you always own the physical item. The benefits of this is if your digital ever fails, you always have the backup copy. With digital copies, there's 3 points of failure. The first point of failure is if the physical hardware fails. What I mean by that is if you downloaded a game on, let's say, a solid state drive or a disk drive, the probability of that disk failing is a lot higher, especially if it's an SD card. Now, once the actual game fails, you've got to download that game once again, let it install, and hopefully that your next drive that you install won't fail. The other contingency is that most physical games are plug and play, and there's no wait or install time for a physical game. Having the physical game usually only takes a system update, but once your system is updated, you can just pop the game in and play it. It doesn't really require a lot of space on your actual physical hardware, whereas an all digital game requires most, if not all, the install space on your particular disk. So some games can be upwards of 8 to 40 gigs depending on what game you play. So having a separate disk with the data already on it is perfect as far as saving time. You can get straight into the gameplay. You don't have to worry about that. The second reason that I feel like physical will always outbeat digital is because I have equity in my physical game. What I mean by equity in the game is, for example, this is an original copy of a packing game that came with the Sega Saturn. Because I have this physical game, not only can I trade this game in, I can also sell it later as the value goes up or barter with this particular item. If it's digital, I have no way to have any equity in this. For example, Blockbuster for years would buy one copy of a game and rent it several times out. What they knew is that it only was a certain amount of hours that it was required to actually finish or defeat the game. So knowing how long it takes to beat the game will determine how long the rental will be, whether it's a few days or a couple of weeks. And then they would get the game back and then rent it out to the next person. So one game that could have cost you 30 bucks could have yielded you infinite amounts of money. Now, give you another example. With my digital games, in order for someone else to play those games, they will have to sign into my account. And with accounts, an account is not actually owning the game. You paid for the game, but your account has nothing to do with the game itself. You have to be secure with your account and make sure that account never gets compromised. So also as well, I cannot trade my account. So that's not true ownership of the game. Let's say I didn't want to sell this game, but I wanted all of my friends to play the game. So let's say the game only takes 30 hours to beat. Well, the next person, after they beat the game, can pass it to the next friend, and then they can play that same game. Let's say we all pitch in and put $10 on a $70 game. Well, we've all only paid 10 bucks to play the game, and everybody's played it, and then it goes back to the one person who can keep the game. So if everybody bought a different game, that means that, well, we all get to play all different kinds of games for a low price. What game companies are now doing is getting a little bit more greedy with the money. So not only do you have to have microtransactions on digital games, but you also have to download DLC, and oftentimes your game will not be complete when you purchase a digital game. Now, speaking on equity again, we all know about the Sony PSP, and in actuality, if you really think about it, this is the only portable CD/disc based system. Now, with that being said, there was only a limited amount of PSP games that were actually created for the Sony PSP. Now, if you wait a few years from now, this becomes a historical piece and item because one, how often are you going to find PSPs in fully functioning working condition? And two, from a historical standpoint, this is the only portable system that actually uses, we're not talking cartridges, we're talking actually CD based disc. So from a collector standpoint, having the physical media is extremely important. I have a proud collection of my Onimusha games, and I had a comment in the comment section, and I'll show that comment in the comment section below about how great some of these series are. Now, if you own a particular series, you can share this experience with someone else that may have that same system. In the same way, most digital game players may look at this as a disadvantage because, for one, such as this Onimusha collection, you have to have an actual working PS2 to play these. So what may be a disadvantage is if you don't have a PS2 or an early PS3, then you may not be able to experience a lot of the PS2 library. But here's also the other problem. There is not a lot of digital offerings for a PS2 game. The rarity of finding discs in a working condition for older consoles such as the PS2 can have advantages for a collector and someone finding equity in games, but may be a disadvantage for newer gamers who want to experience an older set of library of games. So let's go ahead and summarize why owning the physical of the game will always be better than the digital. Well, for one, you actually own the game. You can always play this and you don't have to be online. If online systems such as servers go down, or if they decide to take a game off their platform altogether, that doesn't stop you from still continuing to play the game. If your hardware ever fails on your game, guess what? You never have to reinstall the game again. Only thing you have to do is make sure you keep that disc separate, get your console fixed. You can get your console repaired, or if your hard drive goes down, you can buy a new hard drive, reformat the hard drive, and reinstall the game. What I'm getting at is, as long as you keep this physical game in a good condition, you will always have it. Owning a physical game also gives you equity in that game. What that means is you actually become an investor or a trader in the game, even if you play the game. So as long as you keep that game in a good condition and hold on to it, you can always trade it or let someone borrow the game, or even sell the game at a much higher price when this game becomes rare. Another advantage to owning the physical game is if companies don't give you the full game outright and they try to chop up a single game with microtransactions, with DLC, and you never get the complete game. But games like this of the Onimusha series, you get the complete game when you buy that game. So having the physical game means that you get more for your money. With digital games and accounts, you really have no control over what that company decides to do as far as raising prices, as far as breaking the game up before you get, if not 100% of the game, at least 90 to 95% of the game fully working. So these are some reasons that I think that the physical games are much better than the digital. Next week, I intend to make a video talking about the advantages of digital. But as far as physical is concerned, what do you guys think? Do you think physical will always be better than digital? Let me know in the comment section. And if you're an advocate of the digital versus the physical, put down in the comments some of the reasons why you believe that the digital is better.